This Peruvian case is one of my favorites. This case actually involves a very, very complex type of corruption and kickbacks that involves government head of state as well as the head of departments that are involved. Now, this Peruvian case involves the president called Alberto Fujimori, who was born in 1938 in Peru by Japanese immigrants to Peru. He was the president of Peru from 28 July 1990 to end of year 2000. He actually fled from Peru for Japan amid a major scandal in 2000. Then from Japan, he sent a fax back to Peru for a resignation, which was not accepted by Senate in the Peru. So he went into self-imposed exile in Japan. But in 2005, he was arrested when he made a trip to Chile. And from there, that's how the Peru intelligence arrested him in Chile and brought him for justice in Peru. So in 2007, he had a first conviction for 6 years, and in 2000 for 25 years. So in July 2009, former President Fujimori was also sentenced to 7.5 years in prison for embezzlement after he admitted to 15 million from the Peruvian treasury to his intelligence chief, Lidemiro Montesino. That's his intelligence chief. So this case is actually part of this case that I'm going to present is part of this scandal, which involved his chief intelligence, Mr. Valdemiro Montesinos. So during this period of his ruling into Peru, during his administration, it was believed that he abused and misused or mismanaged around 2 billion during his administration. And a Peruvian Congressional Committee identified around 782 million of illicit money generated more than 200 persons during this period. So it is not only him, not only his intelligence chief that were involved. This is a huge billion-dollar scandal. So it's actually involved, as it said here, like more than 200 people involved. So we are going to present a case, which is, as I said, is one of my favorites, which involved this Peruvian case. Now, for inexperienced money laundering investigators or investigators who have just started their career, all student investigators, like any other practical cases that I have presented. Now, most of these cases, they actually brought about by suspicious transaction reporting by our financial institutions. Now, there is a power, there is a huge significant effect if our own financial intelligence unit involved or think seriously about the suspicious transaction reports that have been submitted through our financial institutions. Like, it is one of the telling points of some financial intelligence unit to commence a huge investigations into the conduct of our civil servants as well as head of state. So this case is actually coming out from suspicious transactions. So for financial intelligence unit and for those who really wanted to be part of this interesting world of investigations, don't ever neglect financial suspicious transaction reporting. So out of suspicious transaction reporting, this case was actually generated, and so they managed to successfully prosecute this former president as well as his intelligence chief. So let's talk about this case. Now, as head of intelligence, intelligence chief in the Peruvian military, Montesino actually sitting in the contract making body for the military purchases of military hardware for Peru. So let's forget about this diagram on my left. Let's look at Peruvian government. So from here, Peruvian government through this Montesinos as intelligence head set an agreement with High-Tech Technology Limited. Now, High-Tech Technology Limited is a company owned by his friend, somebody he knows by the name of Ronnie Lena. So these two, the government and this company, agreed to purchase military agreement. Now, when money was sent out to purchase for the military agreement, they actually sent it to Hockey Management in Bahamas. This is a holding company located in Bahamas. Now, from here, Bahamas will procure the military supplies, whatever military supply that was agreed to purchase. So they will transfer the funds to a Russian company in Russia, which is the actual supplier of the military equipment. So when this Russian company by the name of, I really don't know how to pronounce this one nicely, but it's something armament. So from here they received a funding from Hawk Management Limited from Bahamas Holding. Then they will ship this ammunition directly to Peru. Now, the story should have ended there, but however, this group, they paid commission for the sale to Hawk Management Limited. Hawk Management Limited will transfer the funds from Bahamas, will transfer the funds to High-Tech Technology Limited. Now, that's in Peru. Now, this transfer of commission of sale to High-Tech High-Tech Technology Limited. From there, High-Tech Technology Limited will send out transfer of these commissions that they receive from Hawk Limited to at least 3 parties. So one is High-Tech Technology Limited, or Gandhi. It's another subsidiary of this High-Tech Technology Limited. One, that is the first transfer. The second transfer is through Sutex SA, another High-Tech Technology Limited subsidiary. And also, they can transfer commission directly to Ronnie Lena as his personal, into his personal account. So this form of transfers actually facilitates the payment of commission that they receive from Hawk through Rose something armament. So from here, these three vehicles or these three agents will transfer these commissions into companies that actually owned by Montesinos. So one company is actually based in Peru, which is also had a significant influence through directorship by Montesinos, and the other is through Cross International, another company that's also managed by Montesino but is based in Swiss Bank in New York. So out from these, this one will transfer will transfer these commissions that have been received through this change into these 2 companies. So one company is based in Mexico, the other one is based in Bolivia. Now, these 2 companies actually are controlled by Montesinos, but in separate jurisdictions in Bolivia as well as in Mexico. So from there, the Montesino accounts will be receiving this payment as consulting of services provided by Montesino to these companies. Now, when we talk about Montesino, in this case, when the money received, now the money can be received from Montesino professional or personal account in Peru as consulting services that he offered to these two companies, or also is received from personal account in his New York bank account, as well as Cayman Islands. So this, when it's referred to Montesino, it's actually referring to these three forms of companies, sorry, personal accounts, which Montesino held within three international companies. So let's look at the summary of this case. The summary of this case involves a number of jurisdictions. It involves Bahamas, it involves Russia, it involves Peru, it also involves New York, also involves Mexico, involves Bolivia, and you have account of this head of procurement for this military in three different jurisdictions. So I think the lesson for investigators is not to look at a case like just within your jurisdictions. You have to look at the cases where, you know, why this money is coming from. For example, if an investigator does not look at the type of funding that is received from various jurisdictions or from these two companies, they will put the case closed to say that, okay, these funds are received from the consulting services that he offered to these two companies from two different countries. Then it would be finished from there, but without knowing the chain of all these things occurred. So this case finally is finished off. It finished off by a legal case, and so out from so this case completed with Montesino actually jailed for all this corruption, and as we can see from here, in October 2000, the following filing of suspect transaction report by Zurich, as I said, is in Switzerland. It opened up this $49.5 million of scandal, and so from here you have Minister of Finance as well as the commander of the armed forces of Peru by this name, and also this person here as a general. They also involved in this thing. So from there, then they managed to do this corruption, and also the funds that have been found is in the Switzerland, USA, and Cayman's personal account of Montesino was actually around 175 million. So at the time, during this case when it was conducted, 33 million was frozen in Zurich. So these are the kind of things. See, the case started around in 2000, October 2000, when a suspicious transaction, reporters has said, was generated in Swiss, in Zurich. So from there, the whole corruption operation, it's now like it's rumbled and it's removed from its conduct. So you have the former Minister of Finance, Joy Wang, as well as a military commander here for the Peru forces by the name of Garrido, as well as refer as to him as the arms leader, arms dealer, as well as one of the generals, Mr. Rios. So these are the key people who have been involved in this scandal, and so around 175 million was actually recovered from Montesino's Switzerland, USA, and Cayman special account, and from there they still continue to, as this case was written, they also have frozen his accounts in Switzerland with an amount of $33 million. So you can relate to the diagram that we have just discussed as like that is quite complex, but how much was it? Now we can tell that it's $175 million. This is a huge, huge $1 million kickbacks. So I think we'll finish off by understanding the investigation of international crime. Financial crime is not to limit your investigations to a jurisdictions that you are looking at. So, for example, if lazy investigators look at this as saying that, okay, this one's personal account received funding, and this funding comes from companies that he provided consulting services to, so they will say, that's it. So these are the things that as investigators we really need to avoid. So we need to step outside of the box and think about, what sort of influence he has politically in the country, and involved in, things like procurement of $1 million contracts, and then we trail it from there. So, it sounds easy, but this is already a food on the table. So when you come across things and organizational stuff that related to such issues into your jurisdictions as well as your countries, these are very important for newly investigated officers or financial intelligence units to look beyond and see what actually happening outside and inside your jurisdictions. So these are the type of things. So some questions that are posed for us, which conduct would amount to money laundering in this case? Is it conversion or transfer? Is it concealment, or is use of possession? So these are the things that understanding what actually going on, either if it's conversion or transfer, concealment, based on the diagram that we talked about. As I said, if your investigation does not look further, you will not see the concealment as well as the conversion and the transfer. So if we can also look at things that have been involved in this corruption scheme related to money laundering, and where it's actually been done, whether it's in your jurisdiction, for example. So these are the things where, for investigation purposes, we can look at, bringing things like unexplained wealth. So what is Mr. Montesino's wife position in terms of the wealth that she earns? Things like, buying of houses, real estate, transactions conducted with these companies, as well as what jewelry, what cars, what houses, or what assets that she bought, and stationed inside and outside of the country. What are the sources? So these are the things that investigations can look beyond and see not only the spouse, but also you can look at the influence within his siblings, and these kind of things. That is why it is important to do an investigation and really look outside of the box. So as I said, as this case is not only one of the cases, there are other scenarios which I'm going to continue to present. So have a look at various areas that I have presented, various cases. Think of our jurisdictions or your jurisdictions, whether and how you are going to catch the people who corrupted the people's money. Thank you so much.